Hi there, it's Rob from Brightspot, and I wanted to make a really short film to help you look after yourself and keep well and keep at your best during the pandemic and all the challenges you're wrestling with right now. And uh, Basically, I've got three key ideas that might just help you to do that, to look after yourself and others. The first one came out of an interview I did with various leaders for my new ebook called Power Through the Pandemic. There were several leaders I interviewed there who seemed to be doing especially well, and their teams are doing well in spite of all the difficulties that they're facing. And there's one particular person, Gornall, who I interviewed, and I said, as a leader, what are you prioritizing right now? And she was really clear in her answer. The first thing I'm doing, she said, Rob, is I have to look after myself and keep myself as well as can be. And she said, because of that, I'm wrestling with harder decisions, tougher fundraising challenges, and so on than possibly most of us have dealt with in a long time. If I'm going to be in a fit state to do those things and especially look after my team, number one, I have to make sure that I've looked after myself, which I don't want it to sound selfish. To me, it's just as wise as the advice you get on an aeroplane that goes along the lines of, in the event of an emergency, the masks will fall from the ceiling. Please make sure that you put the mask on yourself first so that you're then in a fit state to look after those who are also reliant on you. So I thought this was smart. And I said, well, what does that look like in practice, Di? And she said, well, I can't control what's going to come at me during the day. Every day is different. All kinds of new decisions are having to be made, new people getting in touch. So the way I've been practicing, this is what she said, for the last 3 or 4 years, is every morning before I start my working day. That's the one time I have control of. I set the agenda, I get up a bit earlier and I do my 30 minutes on my exercise bike every single morning. And I've been doing it every single day over the last couple of months. And it's massively got me in a fit state to be at my best for the rest of the day. Now, I'm not saying that you have to suddenly pick up an exercise bike habit, but I am saying there's something very wise about what Di suggested. It's really consistent with the big main idea in this book, which I really like. It really helped me. It's called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And I mentioned it to Di 4 years ago. She's been using it and finding it really helpful ever since. The key thing is, earlier in my life, when I kept intending to get round to doing things which would be good for my well-being, like, a little bit of meditating, or, writing in a notebook, kind of journaling, or focusing on things to be grateful for, reading a book that might help me keep growing and feeling inspired, doing exercise. Early in my life, again and again, I would intend to do those, but once the day got started, I'd get busy, got less motivated, and I would not get round to it. The key is, I know it's an obvious idea, but the key gift of this book, The Miracle Morning, is it makes a really persuasive argument that the one time you can control is that time first thing in the morning. So if you get up and do whatever habit puts you in a good state for the rest of the day, get up 10, 15 minutes earlier than you normally would, to know that you've primed yourself for the day. So that's the first idea I would suggest. Please hear me. I'm not saying if you're already not getting enough sleep, get up even earlier so you become more sleep depleted. I am saying getting into the habit of going to bed 15 minutes earlier, and then always in the habit of having a morning routine that is good for you, that includes the exercise or some inspiring reading or some calm meditating. Doing it in the morning is disproportionately powerful because you're building a healthy habit. Idea 2, and this came from several other leaders I interviewed, but in particular it came across so strongly when I talked to the excellent Paul Mackenzie from DePaul, UK, and he said, there is nothing more important for me as a leader to focus my attention on right now than the well-being of my team. Physical, emotional, mental health, the well-being of my team is critical. And although that's obvious in a way, what came across to me really strongly is he's absolutely congruent, and he's making time to proactively give his leadership energy to those things, to the extent that asking how people are doing, how they're really doing is the first thing he talks about whenever he catches up with people in his team. It's the last signal he sends them to look out for each other. Above all, let me know if I can help you if you're not doing so well. Relentlessly, he's sending this signal. He's contacting people proactively just to check in, see if they want to chat. And he's asking all of his colleagues to do the same. And sometimes some people are doing fine. Sometimes people need that extra help, but he's on it. They know he's got their back. And as a result, he's able to help people look after themselves properly, to reach out for more help when needed. And paradoxically, because of this, and he's looking after this side, I don't think it's a coincidence that his team are also doing unbelievably well. In his words, they are absolutely smashing it. They're working as hard and as bravely and creatively as they have ever done. And my view is he's created a safe space where they feel looked after, and he's keeping people their well-being looked after. And then that also in turn means that they're in a position to, because they want to, go the extra mile and do wonderful work to help the beneficiaries of that charity. So if you're a leader, prioritize well-being and really go to extra lengths now more than ever to regularly check in with people and help them be looked after. And the third idea I wanted to share right now is to do with learning. I don't know if you know about the webinar by, rather the TED Talk by Professor Angela Duckworth, or her excellent book, Grit. But Duckworth is one of the world's leading academics on the understanding of what resilience is and how you grow it. How can we become more gritty, because it's such a useful thing to grow. And one of her key things in her book is the correlation between people who are very resilient and people who also value learning. They correlate. And Duckworth makes a really persuasive argument that if every day, even when times are hard, you're finding a way to see what you can learn, you're finding a way, sometimes some energy, some mindset to keep growing, learning, then that helps you handle the ups and right now the downs that we might be experiencing. You've got a bigger picture going on. You're not just evaluating each day on how much money did I raise or how difficult it is. You've got a bigger picture on what could be happening in the medium and long term, how you are getting stronger, more wise, more effective in your fundraising for the medium and long term, if you've got an eye on what you could be learning during the crisis. So that same idea really was brought home to me. There's this amazing fundraiser called Natalie, who's in the Bright Spot Members Club, our online resource for people who want to learn with Bright Spot, especially online. And she just emailed me last week saying she's finding the resources in that club so helpful that even though she's furloughed and all day long she's looking after 2 very small children full time, she's been getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, the same time as she would have got up to commute. And so before the kids are awake, she's been watching learning films, in this case, resources through the Bright Spot Club. But wherever you are, you don't need to be doing it that way. But the key thing she said to me was the act of regularly checking in and learning, getting inspired, staying inspired by improving her fundraising knowledge and skills. Basically, she said she's fallen back in love with fundraising after feeling a little jaded and finding it more difficult than ever. To me, this is absolutely consistent with what Duckworth is saying, that when you are staying inspired and learning, it gives you an extra perspective with which to deal with everything else you're solving at the moment. Also helps you with your problem solving. If you're not furloughed but you're a fundraiser, to have got access to inspiring material that helps you believe that progress is possible, it makes whatever you do later in the day easier, because you're more likely to believe it's worth searching for an answer. Whereas without that extra inspired priming state, I think most of us find it harder to keep deliberately searching for an extra answer to a tough problem. So in conclusion, I've shared 3 ideas that might just help you go the extra mile to do with well-being. Number 1, like Di did, if you possibly can, do something in the morning before work starts that gets you into a great state, whether that's exercise, whether it's learning, meditating, but do it first so you're primed for the rest of the day. Secondly, as Paul is recommending, as a leader, above all, go the extra mile to check in with your team and prioritize their well-being ahead of money earned or tasks or whatever. If you do that, paradoxically, the other is more likely to work. And thirdly, the making time for learning can only be good, in my view, for your resilience, in addition to your ability to raise money. If you want right now to take action on some of that, then one option is to check out my new ebook called Power Through the Pandemic. It's completely free. There's a link close to this film where you can download 7 chapters based on interviews I've done with high achieving fundraisers right now, Power Through the Pandemic. Or secondly, if you want to go even deeper than that, then the Bright Spot Members Club is also an option. There are dozens and dozens of training films in there with download notes. We've got twice weekly regular coaching calls to help you solve the stuff going on right now. If you are able to sign up between now and Tuesday, the 19th of May, you get your first month access to all of those inspiring resources for just £5. So do check out that. I hope there's relatively little financial risk. My view is once you get in there, you'll find it so helpful you want to stay. But even if you don't, please just make use of it for a month if you're at all curious. I hope this film has been helpful. Stay safe, look after yourself, do your best to look after others. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and good luck with your fundraising. Bye-bye.